Thank you, Dr. Nesher. It's now my pleasure to introduce Administrator Lisa P. Jackson, voted one of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2010 and in 2011, one of the only 2 students of chemical engineering in her class in Princeton, who has risen through the ranks of the EPA and leads a staff now of over 18,000 professionals working across the US to usher in the green economy and address health threats from pollution to air, water, and land. Administrator Jackson has made it a priority to involve all population groups in the environmental discourse and has promised all stakeholders a place at the decision-making table. Administrator Jackson, the floor is yours.
And thank you for the opportunity. Let me start by being polite. So thank you first to Tel Aviv University and the Porter School. Thank you, Dame Porter, for having me. And thank you, Director Nesher, for that lovely start of ideas and welcome as well. I would be wrong if I didn't also thank the staff of the embassy and the staff of the ministry, both of whom have really just put together a series of days that are busy but really exciting in terms of opportunities and ideas and friendship. So I want to thank everybody, including my own staff, for putting this together. And thank you all for coming during the holiday season. We struggled to get this visit in before the holidays really started, before Rosh Hashanah, and before the non-holiday, which is the U.S. election season, which is going on back home as well. So thank you for coming out today. I know you're very busy with your families. It is good to be here and to know that you will be the home soon of the first LEED Platinum building in Israel. How exciting and how extraordinary that is, not just for the school, but for the industry that will most assuredly, as it has so often, respond to the challenge of continuing to build, partly because of the requirements of new regulations and standards, but also because the industry enjoys innovation like any other industry will, and it will become contagious, I have no doubt. Congrats also on your innovative use of solar and wind energy. I understand that you have green roof design as well, and that you're going to be even including a vegetable garden. What an extraordinary opportunity from the standpoint of energy and water efficiency, so crucial and so obvious in terms of the need here in Tel Aviv, but also because it's such a valuable teaching tool. And it sparks innovation by its very being there. So congratulations there as well. So I'm very glad to be with you today. Tel Aviv University is one of the many stops I've had the privilege of making in these last few days. And I do have to stop and say what a beautiful country and such lovely people, and how impressed I've been with everything I've seen. I really ultimately came to Israel to do that which is, I think, most important in any public policy job, and that's to learn. To see your work. Obviously, you are the vaunted startup nation. I heard today that you're tired of being called that, but so you are. And so it's good to be here to talk about ways to work together to tackle some of the most pressing and important challenges that are facing our communities and our countries, and indeed our planet. 2 of the greatest challenges that we face are, first, the immediate challenges, certainly for me back home, to our national and in many cases the global economies. And then, of course, the longer-term challenges to the planet that we will almost assuredly leave to our children. It's good because so much of what I've seen in the last few days and in my years, many years, I'm ashamed to say, I started as a staff-level engineer at EPA in 1987. But I always say to my staff and to others that all those years and everything I've seen and the privilege of having this latest job make me believe that there is absolutely a single solution to both challenges, economic and sustainability challenges as well. And that is a simple solution to say, and that's to build an innovative, fast-growing, and far-reaching green economy, as Alonis talked about. We all know that the key ingredient to economic growth in the 21st century is quite simply innovation. It means new opportunities, whether that's in manufacturing and engineering, whether it's in research, whether it's in maintenance and installation. And those opportunities translate into jobs at every level of the economy, including for individuals and communities where new jobs are most needed. Innovation is really a pathway to prosperity that extends years into the future, and Israel has become a global leader in innovation. I've read that Israel has more high-tech startups per capita than any other nation on earth. I know that this nation leads the world in civilian R&D, research and development spending per capita, and I know that you rank second behind the US in the number of companies listed on the NASDAQ. With only 7 million people, Israel attracts as much VC money as France and Germany combined. And having now seen it firsthand, I understand how and why Tel Aviv has become one of the world's leading entrepreneurial hotbeds. So innovation is essential to economic growth and can help us solve the first of our two most significant challenges. And certainly, I think what we saw in the last few days is that Israel is poised to lead the way. But innovation, for me, is also absolutely essential to something as important, certainly, and that's to tackling our greatest environmental and health challenges. Not many people think of environmentalism in terms of new technology, but the truth is that the history of successful environmental protection has really been a history of innovation. In order to do the things we've done, to be 40 years since EPA came to be, actually we'll be 42 years old this year in December. And in 42 years, we have cleaner, more efficient products. We've grown the U.S. economy, most certainly. We have more homes. We have more cars. We certainly, Americans and cars on the road. We have more power being generated, and at the same time, as all those things have gone up, pollution in our air and water has generally gone down. We generally say air pollution is down by about 50% in that time frame. So how do you do something like that? We've reduced lead, we've reduced mercury in our air, we've limited dumping of industrial waste and harmful chemicals in water, we've cleaned up some of our most contaminated toxic sites, some of them the most contaminated, I think, in the world. And every step of the way, the thing that makes that happen is really technological innovation. At a fundamental level, I agree that a healthy environment is good for our economy. In fact, it's a cycle, the virtuous cycle, in which a cleaner environment leads to lasting economic progress. And the alternative is dirty water and contaminated lands that eventually turn away investors and job creators who look for easier opportunities. A weak environment, I always say, means unhealthy workers. It means a weaker consumer base. Unhealthy air means an unhealthy atmosphere for economic growth. We also see protecting human health and environment provides economic growth just in that very act, in its own right. In 2012, the environmental industry market worldwide was about $782 billion. It employed nearly 1.6 million people in the US alone. So let me give you just one example of how that works, an argument I make quite often back home. Last year, at the end of the year, we finalized our mercury standards. They're the mercury and air toxic standards for power plants. We knew that in doing so, clean air would require new technology at a number of older facilities, many of them coal-burning facilities in the US. We estimated that the manufacturing, the installation, the operation, the maintenance of that technology would create about 46,000 construction jobs, short-term jobs, and 8,000 long-term utility jobs. That's job creation, all while preventing up to 11,000 premature deaths each and every year. So that's a win-win. It's the kind of effect that we can quantify and would love to see continue to grow. And the U.S. and Israel together have already established a number of connections built around that simple theory that you can do good economically and invest in health and the economy at the same time. So I spent yesterday meeting with large U.S. companies who've headquartered a number of their research and development facilities and departments here in and around Tel Aviv. Water and energy entrepreneurs based out of Kinroth Technology Ventures, an institution that has partnered with the Milwaukee, Wisconsin Water Council, and the Los Angeles Water and Power Department to ensure that innovative technologies developed here in Israel have a market back in the U.S. I was also really excited to meet with Xylem. Xylem is a U.S. water company looking to expand their business here in Israel. And certainly, last but not least, I'm pleased to announce that Lucid Energy, which is an innovative technology, renewable energy technology company based out of Portland, Oregon, is collaborating with Mekarot to develop an in-pipe hydropower turbine system. So to use the power of the water that has to move through the pipes to generate energy that could be used for everything from monitoring to transmission of information. Not only is the Lucid pipe system designed to improve operational efficiencies of the water system, it helps to recapture energy in the pipelines. It's low-cost energy that has absolutely no negative environmental impact and can help reduce the cost of delivering clean, safe drinking water to the people of Israel. Those kinds of collaborations to me show yet again that the choice between a prosperous economy on the one hand and a healthy environment on the other is indeed a false choice. Collaboration is what makes smart and green growth not only possible, but it becomes a place where I think we can, working together, bring together governments and industry and NGOs and the global community to put our best ideas forward, as I know has been done here as part of the ministry's green growth strategy, as Director Schiffer mentioned. Israel has already made its commitment very vocal in that green growth strategy. And today I want to outline several aspects of our vision of EPA's support of green growth in the U.S. and also around the world to make our economy healthier and more sustainable. Back in November of 2010, I asked the U.S. National Academy of Sciences to advise EPA on how to promote sustainability. You see, EPA is often thought of as a regulatory agency, what you can and cannot do. But sustainability is really beyond that, right? It's more. What can we as a regulator do? And they came out with a report, which is what the National Academy has done, to tell us, to give us a roadmap to how to use our policies at the EPA to go beyond just telling people what to do and instead encouraging the best of what we see. Businesses who make their money by making the air cleaner or by making businesses more efficient, maybe using less water, using less energy. Early this year, we heard from over 500 external organizations in over 130 listening sessions, along with staff across our country. And we put all this expertise into sustainability and considering how to do our job of protecting the health and learning about our operations, becoming more efficient. They talked to us about developing strategies that help them meet their sustainability goals. Because if a business becomes more sustainable, it helps us meet our goals, which is to protect air and water and land. Making sure that our rules and regulations are smart. Making sure that we're providing technical and other assistance and partnering with other groups. So that's why it's so good to be here, to learn about the policies and tools that Israel is employing to get a better idea of what's going on with sustainability here. We're also going to explore, I think this is important, new approaches to measuring and planning for economic growth that include the value of natural resources, the so-called going beyond GDP, which my colleague and co-equal, obviously, Minister Erdan at the ministry has been speaking about on the international stage, ensuring that we look at prosperity as part of how we measure where a nation is doing in terms of its economy. We're also looking at investing and supporting science and the tools that we're going to need to lead to broader sustainability. We want to get behind developing and commercializing technologies and getting those startups off the ground to the point where they become commercial successes. Now, for me back home, essential to all this is really partnership. We have to work in the U.S. with our states, with our local governments, with our businesses, and then, of course, with international partners like Israel. These interactions can allow us to scale up, and that's really the key for the sustainability economy, the green economy, is the scale up around the world. We have many programs. We have an E3 program, very popular back home in the States, E3, Economy, Energy, and Environment, which actually assists local governments and manufacturers, especially small manufacturers, helps them learn how to reduce their own waste and energy use, make their operations more efficient. That decreases their costs, which means their profits have to be higher, their operating costs are lower. Larger businesses can do that by themselves, but smaller businesses may not be able to. And so being able to look to your government to give you that assistance can often mean the difference between staying in business and being profitable or not being able to survive. We're going to support more programs like that and have efforts to increase financing and technology for it. It also means that we have to look at our regulations and our standards and make sure that they are not impeding innovation, making sure that we're not in the way, and institutionalizing information systems that track emerging technologies and supporting research and benchmarking of emerging technologies. We do that by catalyzing technology design and development, finance, commercialization, but we have to do that in partnership with others. This is not an EPA only opportunity. I am bringing in a senior technology officer that will report directly to the front office of the Environmental Protection Agency Administrator. That person will really largely take over some of these efforts around technology and innovation, and then they'll be joined by a network of entrepreneurial individuals from across the agency. It's time to become environmental protection entrepreneurs. This is a word that somebody told me they like that word a lot because it's more than an idea, it's selling and getting your idea to spread. We're going to build on our relationship. We established a water technology innovation cluster in our engineering office. I'm an engineer, so I have a natural affinity to all our engineers. And we have a big engineering lab in Cincinnati. We work with the University of Cincinnati. We work with big companies like Procter & Gamble, who have a big sustainability practice back home, to support efforts there. So that will continue. And then we're going to look at new R&D arrangements, like the one we signed with General Electric and a facility in Ohio that will help bring innovative water technologies to market more quickly. We have to work with folks like Intel to develop new sensors and new apps for air and water monitoring and technology. Peter Prus, our innovation officer, was talking about, just like there's an internet, there's a sensor net. You don't have to take anyone's word for whether the air is clean in your neighborhood if you can look at it yourself online. And more communities are demanding that kind of transparency from their government. And more entrepreneurs have responded to that call. We just have to give them a market for the things they're developing. So those are the kinds of opportunities. Finally, I just want to close to say we're going to do everything we know how to do to strengthen the market for these new technologies and innovations across our country and working with our partners abroad. We have to work at all levels of government to ensure that we work with one voice to expand investment in environmental technology. And I don't sit here thinking that that's an easy task, but I tell you the last 2 days have made me more convinced than when I came here that it's absolutely the essential future of how we get our job done. People are willing to pay for environmental protection. Over and over again, polls back home in the US, you can ask someone, are you willing to pay more for open space or parks? Are you willing to pay more to ensure that water sources are protected? Are you willing? People say, yes, it has to be reasonable, even in economic hard times. But more and more, they want to be able to make sure that they're getting what they pay for. And I think EPA has an amazing history. It's an honor to run an organization that has such a history, but we will not be doing credit to it if we don't change and innovate so that we can be 40 years from now talking about the innovations that really propelled us forward internationally to deal with everything from air pollution to climate change. So again, I thank you, and I look forward to the panel.